Hey gang, Lou here from Jersey Shore Fabricators. Well, something that's near and dear to my heart. 1987 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The finest that Jeep had to offer back then. Now, anybody who knows me knows I love these trucks. I really do. This particular truck I put together for this customer, to a degree, 7 or 8 years ago, back at one of our old shops. And, well, it's back. So the customer's been out driving, he's been enjoying it, having a good time with it. His kids absolutely love the truck. And then he let it sit. And that's where things went south. So this is going to be part 1 of a series on this truck. The reason why it's going to be part 1 is it started off with, hey Lou, my truck don't run. And then he tows the truck up here and we offload it and start looking around and says, well, you know, I got some rust and, you know, I threw a couple of rocker panels in the truck, so maybe you could put those on while you're at it. Yeah, sure, now, why not? And I start looking around and so, what about these quarters? Well, yeah, can you do the quarters too? And so, you got a set of fenders. He says, yeah. Okay, we're restoring the truck. So, it's gonna be fun. I've been wanting to do this truck properly for this guy, body-wise. But let me take you inside and show you what's going on here. Now, the first of many things that makes me crazy about this truck is, as I said, this is an 87 Grand Wagoneer. So it's got a certain type of hood on it, but he also has a razor grill in it. And that requires a certain type of hood latch, which he doesn't have. So, got the magic bar of destiny here. Now, what's so special about this truck? Well, this has the AMC delete kit. And the cool thing about this is that I did this AMC delete kit 7, 8 years ago before it was popular, before it was even called the AMC delete kit. Now, there's a couple of things I know I want to do. I just gotta see if I can talk them into it. So, one of the first things I want to do is I want to get the AC hooked up. Because it's a Grand Wagoneer. It's not very grand without AC. Now the reason why it's here, why it don't run, is right here. Yeah, had some varmints get at this, chew everything up. Wiring harness for the computer, other wiring harness for the computer, plus the battery's dead, which I don't think the varmints had anything to do with. And then we got all these wires here that are separated. Now, these wires, I actually put together a harness for this truck for, the gauges. He's got custom digital gauges in this from Dakota Digital. I believe the PCM still works. Not exactly sure what was puking out of the overflow. So I'm going to go through and start picking through these wires one by one and see what we find. Fender, down fender, down to the rocker panel, what's left of the rocker panel, and of course quarter panels, which are actually all typical for a Grand Wagoneer. This up here on the radiator support. So my plan is I'm going through this truck front to back, just like we are on the walk-in Mustang, and we're going to give this man a proper truck back. Running, driving, body restored. The interior isn't in terrible shape. It's not in the best shape, but it's not terrible. I really want to do something with this shifter. This thing makes me crazy. Yeah. So headliner's even in decent shape, which on a Grand Wagoneer you never find. So as I said, this is part one and the introduction of Dave's oh so Grand Wagoneer. I'm going to start tearing into the wiring, see if I can at least kind of put this thing back together to see if it'll fire up. I'd love to be able to move this around. So, well, let's see what happens. Alright, so on the Wagoneer, the first step we had, if you noticed, there was a Nerf bar here. So we had to go, there's 9 bolts that hold that in. 2 of them are inside the frame rail up front. They were fun to get out. And then after that it fell down and now it's off the truck. So the next move after that was to remove the sill plates that go here. If you're familiar with the Grand Wagoneers, you know what I'm talking about. There's 4 screws. Now generally they won't come out. So the easiest way is to use a small cutoff wheel like this, cut a slot in the top of the screw like this, and then get after it with an impact driver. Not a cordless or an air impact. I mean the one you hit with a hammer, and it'll shock it and turn it, and then you can unscrew it without damaging the sill plates. The reason why you want to do that, particularly on this truck, is that nobody's repopping them. So you gotta be careful with that. Now, as far as the actual removal of this rocker panel, so you'll see that the original rocker panel comes up underneath the B pillar here. All right, we have this little triangle piece. Again, if you know Grand Wagoneers, you know this is here. This has to come off, and then comes down under the A pillar. Then after that, it's spot welded along the bottom to the inner rocker. Now this is in pretty bad shape, but believe it or not, the inner rocker is pretty solid. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to save that, or I could just patch little pieces if I need to. And obviously the body line has to match up with the rocker, and also has to match up back here with this dog leg. Now the dog leg is actually welded from the inside. You can get that from back inside here. So what my plan is to actually, because obviously we have to fix the dog leg. Believe it or not, these are available. I think Spectra makes them, and I forget the website I got them from, but if you just search Grand Wagoneer rear door dog leg, these are, last I checked, these are still available brand new. This whole thing doesn't have to be replaced. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to form a new piece of metal, butt weld that in there, and you know, you'll never know if that happened. But I am going to cut this for now just so I can get the rocker loose. And then same thing under the rear door. It's going to come underneath this dog leg. So now it's just going to be a matter of a whole lot of cutting and getting this out of here to make room for the new one. Okay, so like the center rocker right here on my hand it's a little thin here, but the rest of it's really not in bad shape. We are going to be getting deeper into this though, because while I was under the truck removing the Nerf bars, I was looking up at the floorboards, and yeah, we've got some work to do. We've got some cross members to do. It's pretty nasty under there. All right, let me get to cutting. All right, so I haven't cut anything off yet, but I'm just getting to start doing some of the mock-up on this. Let's see if I could get you guys a better angle here. So, right off initial expectations, on the back side here. Okay, you can see how this angles in and this doesn't. but this is sitting flat and this isn't. So we got a lot of tweaking to do to get that to fold over that way. And then on the front, kind of the same thing. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Looking up where the fender is, this needs to be like that to match the fender. And you can see how much we're up on the inside here. All right. So the initial fitment isn't great, but I just want this to get some basic lines of where I need to start cutting up here in the door sill, because this does not come under the B-pillar. The original one does, but this doesn't. And where I need to cut it up by the A-pillar, and where I need to cut it back by the dog leg. So I'm gonna get some marks, get this cut out, and see what we have to deal with after that. All right, so I haven't cut anything off yet, but I'm just getting to start doing some of the mock-up on this. Let's see if I could get you guys a better angle here. So, right off initial expectations, on the back side here. Okay, you can see how this angles in and this doesn't, but this is sitting flat and this isn't. So we got a lot of tweaking to do to get that to fold over that way. And then on the front, kind of the same thing. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Looking up where the fender is, this needs to be like that to match the fender. And you can see how much we're up on the inside here. All right. So the initial fitment isn't great, but I just want this to get some basic lines of where I need to start cutting up here in the door sill, because this does not come under the B-pillar. The original one does, but this doesn't. And where I need to cut it up by the A-pillar, and where I need to cut it back by the dog leg. So I'm gonna get some marks, get this cut out, and see what we have to deal with after that. Okay, well, as far as rough cuts go, it's pretty rough. And, well, we're close. So there is a support piece here. You can see that. Right inside here, there's a support piece that's got all kinds of holes in it. So I'm going to have to recreate that. That's part of the inner rocker. And there's a big hole in the inner rocker right here. So I'm going to have to redo that. But at least part of it's there. So I'm not going to bore you with all this. I'm just going to go ahead and do what I got to do, and I'll bring you back as I start fitting everything up. Well, now as you can see, the pile of rust is growing. All right, so rough cut's done. Here's what my plan is going to be. I'm going to have to replace almost the whole lower half of this inner rocker, if not the whole thing. So the plan is quite simple. I am going to fit up the new outer rocker, make the angles match the way I need them to, particularly up here with this. I may even take that all the way forward. I haven't decided yet. And along the back, I don't have a line to go off of. Once I have the metal of the new panel rebent the way that I wanted to so it sits properly, I will then make the new inner rocker to meet that and hold the bottom of that. Now, Jeep did try to have drainage on this, but it didn't work too well. And that's what this hole is, that hole is, and then there's one back there. I'll put those same holes into the new rocker, and of course it'll be, you know, treated and all that, you know, to try to, well, hold off rust going into the future. I do have some work to do under the truck. As soon as I get this mess cleaned up, I can get underneath there and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, now as best I can, I'm going to try to get you under the truck here. So this is the front wheel, and you can see we got some rot through going on the floor. We have this cross member, which has definitely seen better days. And it's got a bunch of crap inside of it. We come down. This is a seatbelt mount, which is falling apart. That actually looks pretty similar to what I find on Mustangs. So if that's not available, I'll just order a Mustang one. This cross member, again, not looking too good. The floor here is pretty soft. Actually, there's the carpet. So that's going to have to be addressed. So quite a ways to go yet before we even think about putting the outer rocker on and start fitting things. So at this point now, I get to tear apart the interior. Lucky me. And then back here, going up over where the rear of the truck is, this cross member definitely needs some help. It's got a big hole in it over there. Now this truck is from Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania they inspect frames and body damage and all that, and with rust you cannot pass inspection. So we got some work to do. Not only that, but I am, like I said, I'm a particular fan of these trucks. This truck in particular holds a special place to me. So the owner doesn't know it. Well, he's going to know it. But the owner doesn't know it, but I'm building this truck the way that, well, if I owned it. So buckle in, Dave. It's going to be a ride. But it's so going to be worth it. Alright guys, I'm going to get back at you after I get everything more or less cleaned up and ready to start assembling. You don't need to watch me cut metal. It's boring for me. I know it's got to be boring for you to watch. Alright gang, there you have it. How to cut apart a perfectly good truck. And except that it's not perfectly good. So we jumped around on this a little bit. We got into a little bit into what's going on with the body, a little bit what's going on with the drivetrain. I got to make some decisions on how I want to approach this. Most likely, I'm going to start at the back of the truck, work my way forward, do the structural repairs, frame repairs, do the body repairs, but not the body work just yet. That's going to be down at the end. I got a feeling that the body's coming off. I got a feeling that the motors, the drivetrain's coming out, so I can access everything. You know, give this truck the proper treatment that it deserves. It's going to be a lot of fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to keep up to date on this project or any other projects that we have going on. We have several at any time. Until we see you next time, peace.